Hello and welcome back to Crypto Saving Experts. I've just knocked my mug of coffee everywhere as soon as we started today's stream. Not a great start there. Let's start again. Hello and welcome back to Crypto Saving Experts, where we talk about the latest cryptocurrency news and take a look at the markets so that we all know exactly what is happening. My name is Jess and we do these live streams every single weekday. So if you are new here, please don't forget to like, subscribe and hit that bell notification button. We are going to be talking today about the price of Bitcoin. We'll be taking a look at the new app competing with Twitter. We have Threads launched today. We'll be discussing that. We'll also be taking a look at what Larry Fink has had to say. Now, the CEO of BlackRock has had a lot to say over the years about Bitcoin, and suddenly it's all turned very, very positive. So we will be talking about that. But first of all, let's check in with the price of Bitcoin. Currently sat above that $31,000 level at $31,200, up 2.45% within the last 24 hours. And Ethereum is looking pretty nice as well, up 1.3% to $1,940. Now, we will be discussing this at the end of today's stream. We will be analysing the price of Bitcoin, analysing the price of Ethereum, and as always, we will be comparing the two. Now, it's Thursday. We will have that CME gap opening up tomorrow, so we'll keep an eye on that too. But we have a lot to discuss today. It's been a pretty exciting day, I would say, and it's been interesting trying out the new application from Meta. Let's first talk about what's happening with BlackRock, because this is the most important one. Bitcoin is moving to the upside because BlackRock's CEO has had something to say about Bitcoin. So let's rewind first of all to what's happened in the past, and let's see what his opinions have been in the past. First of all, let's pull up this video. I hope you can all hear this okay. Let's check that this is all going to make sense. Hopefully you can hear this well enough for this first video.
Let me just say one thing on Bitcoin. Bitcoin it just shows you how much demand for money laundering there is in the world. I mean, that's all it is. I mean, it is just...
It's an index.
It's an index of money laundering. I mean, that's all it is. So I'll move on that. So we look at technology as the only means for us to create efficiencies today.
Is that better?
You know, our shareholders demand a very good ratio. We have 45% margins.
So essentially, I've just put this on. Let's put this back. So essentially what he said there, back in 2017, Larry Fink, the CEO of BlackRock, said that Bitcoin is an index of money laundering. We can see that in the last couple of months, that opinion has changed. Well, in the last couple of years probably, but in the last couple of months, it's come to light that his opinions have changed. Let's take a look at what else is happening here. So if we check in with this stream here, let's pull this up. We are taking a look at what he's said within the last 24 hours. So here's the video here. Let's pull this up.
And also, I do believe the role of crypto is it's digitizing gold in many ways. Instead of investing in gold as a hedge against inflation, a hedge against the onerous problems of any one country or the devaluation of your currency, whatever country you're in. Let's be clear, Bitcoin is an international asset. It's not based on any one currency. And so it can represent an asset that people can play as an alternative. I would call the foundation of BlackRock is about hope. You invest for retirement because you believe tomorrow is better than today. And also,
so within that video, we can see here that his opinions have definitely changed over the years. Let's pull this back and make sure everything's back in order. What we can see there is he's gone from thinking Bitcoin is an index of money laundering to thinking it's an international asset. Now, he's seen the benefits of Bitcoin throughout the years. He must have educated himself a bit more on this, understood the benefits it can provide, sees Bitcoin as a hedge against inflation, sees it as digital gold. Now, there are a few extra points that he could have pointed pointed out there. There are problems with fiat currencies that Bitcoin can solve as well. Maybe that'll take a few more years for him to wrap his head around there. But positive news all around here. Now, BlackRock is the biggest asset manager in the world. They are shareholders of many major companies in the US and internationally. So they do have a lot of power there, and they have applied for that Bitcoin spot Bitcoin ETF within the last couple of weeks. They did get questioned on this from the SEC. They've provided more detail. They've clarified some things within that, and they have refiled for that spot Bitcoin ETF. So fingers crossed that does get accepted. To be honest, it's highly anticipated that it will get accepted. I personally think there's a high probability that it will get accepted, and if that is the case, it could drive a huge amount of adoption to Bitcoin. So it's positive to see BlackRock turn around on this. I know some people are of the opinion that they don't want BlackRock involved in this asset, but right now I don't think we have too much of a choice. What we have seen, which is really interesting here within the last couple of years, is that the SEC and the regulators in the US said to cryptocurrency companies, you can come into our region, you just need to register. All of the cryptocurrency companies then tried to comply by these rules, and then the SEC filed lawsuits against multiple different cryptocurrency exchanges, and now we have traditional financial exchanges launching to offer cryptocurrencies, and they are seemingly going to be able to continue forwards there. So that's a really interesting topic there. Let's continue with today's news though, and talk about this in a little bit more detail, because there's a sort of a storyline here. In a lot of cryptocurrency adoption, we see that there's people that ignore us, then they laugh at us, and then they join us. And what we've seen here is BlackRock CEO do that exactly to the team. He ignored us. He then called Bitcoin an index of money laundering, and then he decided it was an international asset. I mean, it's great that he's come on board finally, but it's surprising that it took so many years. Now, we can see that Michael Saylor had the same sort of journey. In 2013, Michael Saylor tweeted, Bitcoin's days are numbered. It seems like just a matter of time before it suffers the same fate as online gambling. And then we see that he's bought millions and millions of dollars worth of Bitcoin over and over again in the headlines. So this is just a theme that tends to happen within the cryptocurrency space, and I'm sure many of you have seen this amongst people you know as well. It is pretty common. There's a very negative sentiment around cryptocurrency from people that haven't done their research, and then people tend to do their research and understand it a little bit more and understand the value of it. But let's take a look at the next piece of news for today. We should talk about what's going on with Twitter's competitor, Threads. So Threads is launched by Mark Zuckerberg's Meta's company. We can see here that it's attracted 10 million users within its first 7 hours. So celebrities including Kim Kardashian and politicians are amongst the first to join. We have joined on there this morning at Crypto Saving Expert. So if you have joined over there, make sure to give us a follow. We're going to be pushing loads of content out on that new platform. It's an interesting conversation though. Let me know in the chat if you've tried it out, and let me know what you think compared to Twitter. Now, obviously, this is the first version of Threads. I'm sure there's many new updates to come. I found a few errors with it myself. You can't switch from one login to another. You can't have two accounts on the same mobile. Obviously, we don't have the internet version available yet. So there are a few problems there that make it just a little bit more difficult to use for people like me. However, the platform itself, a really nice user interface, I think. Something that could catch on. It'll be interesting to see how much of retention the application will get. Obviously, we've had a massive spike in users within the last 24 hours, but will those users stick around, or will they just look at it and think, oh, do you know what, I'd rather just stick to Twitter, and we could see a drop off of that within the next couple of weeks. It'll be really interesting to see how this plays out and whether this application does catch on in the way Meta are hoping for it to do. One interesting thing about this is Twitter first launched Twitter Blue, where you had to pay for a blue tick on the application. Meta then launched that for Instagram, and a lot of people weren't interested in that. But now they've launched this Twitter essentially for Meta, Threads. A lot more people, I think, are going to start paying for that blue tick on Instagram as well. So this could massively increase the revenue for Meta there. I know a lot of people are also against Meta though, so that could cause an implication for the longevity of the application. But we'll just have to stay tuned on this one. It's a really interesting one. I've been using the application. It has a really nice interface. So we'll be seeing how that goes within the next couple of weeks. Anyway, let's get back to cryptocurrency and seeing what else is going on in the cryptocurrency news here. We have the Danish regulator orders local bank to dispose of its crypto holdings. So a spokesperson from Saxo has disclosed that the financial authority order will not stop the bank from continuing its crypto offerings, but they have to dispose of their crypto holdings. Also in the news today, we have Ethereum users propose new circuit breaker standard to counter DeFi attacks. So the Ethereum community has proposed ERC 7265, which will introduce a circuit breaker feature that will immediately stop outflows of tokens during a hack. Now, this is a new token standard that they are researching and developing here. And what would happen essentially is it would be triggered on decentralized financial platforms to prevent a massive outflow of assets during a suspected hack. So this standard outlines a smart contract interface for a circuit breaker that triggers a temporary halt on protocol-wide token outflows when a threshold is exceeded for a predefined metric. This circuit breaker does not assume the structure of the underlying protocol and mainly serves as a pass-through vehicle for token outflows. So DeFi hacks take too long to stop is a problem that we are seeing over and over again. So this new token standard could be a way to stop this and slow that down as quickly as possible and come to the root of the problem as it happens on the blockchain. Massive development there, and definitely something that I'm going to continue researching in the future. A nice development there. So this is a token standard, so it would be that tokens that abide by these rules within their smart contracts can follow this standard and get this automatically integrated into those protocols. Let's see what else is going on today, though, in the cryptocurrency news. So we've got a Valkyrie digital asset refiles for a Bitcoin spot ETF with Coinbase as surveillance partner. So Coinbase is being listed as many different spot Bitcoin ETF surveillance partners right now. This essentially means that all of these massive institutions will be using Coinbase in order to track the price of Bitcoin. Coinbase will be providing that information for them. They've been listed for BlackRock spot Bitcoin ETF, and I believe for Fidelity's spot, yeah, there we go, in the article there, for Fidelity's spot Bitcoin ETF there as well. So despite Coinbase being sued by the SEC in the US, we have actually seen the price of Coinbase stock rising within the last couple of days, and I believe this is off the back of this news where they are partnering with major institutions filing for spot Bitcoin ETFs there. Let's continue with today's news and see what else is going on. So we have BlackRock CEO calls assets an international asset. This is what we've just seen in the videos at the start of today's stream. If you have just tuned in, make sure to rewind and take a look at that. Very interesting change of opinion there from the CEO of BlackRock, who called Bitcoin a index for money laundering back in 2017 and has now called it an international asset and digital gold in 2023. How much can change in 6 years, hey? Let's take a look at what else is happening in the cryptocurrency news here. So we have Bitcoin miners earned $184 million in transaction fees for Q2 in 2023. So they earned an transaction fee in Q2 is more than the previous 5 quarters combined. So that's a massive difference there. The revenue miners earned as transaction fees in Q2 is more than previous 5 quarters combined. A new report by cryptocurrency data provider Coinmetrics has revealed that Bitcoin miners raked in $184 million in user transaction fees out of the total $2.4 billion earned for the second quarter of 2023, signaling a significant change to a streak of quarterly low transaction fees. So let's take a look at this. Amidst the regulatory and macroeconomic challenges that plagued Q2, the Bitcoin mining industry recorded a few wins. Decreasing inflation pressures translated to lower electricity rates in the US, the blocking of the Biden administration's proposed 30% digital asset mining energy tax in the US, and we've seen Alternatively, we have seen miners celebrate these victories. Coinmetrics noted that Bitcoin's rising hash rate is intensifying competition in the industry. So with more competition, they need to have better hardware. They need to provide more electricity. It just becomes more difficult to mine that next block. So the difficulty continues to increase there. And that is to ensure essentially that a new block is mined every 10 minutes. Because we want it to be approximately every 10 minutes, the difficulty to mine a block changes. So if all of a sudden all of the Bitcoin miners were down and you had a small computer, it would be pretty easy for that small computer to mine a block after 10 minutes. Obviously that would never happen, but it just allows us to continue with that steady pace of blocks being mined, and that is assessed very, very regularly to make sure we have some sort of continuous flow of blocks there on the Bitcoin network. Let's continue with the next article here and see what else is going on. Before we do, please don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button. If you are following along on Twitter, make sure to come over to YouTube. If you are following along on Twitter and YouTube, make sure to go over and follow us on TikTok at Crypto Saving Expert. I've started posting on there every single day, so make sure to check that out. If you have not already, we have just hit 1,000 followers on there, but let's try and make it 10,000 by the end of the year. Let's have big goals here. Let's see what else is going on in today's crypto news. So the CFTC is likely to sue bankrupt Celsius and former CEO. Investigators have concluded that Celsius and Alex Mashinsky broke laws before going bankrupt. So Celsius is one of the companies that did not make it through the turbulence of 2022, and now they have investigators looking into how actually they were organising themselves prior to that bankruptcy filing that they filed in, I can't remember what month they filed in, but it was in July 2022. They filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy there. So let's continue with today's news, see what else is going on. The Fed have decided against no, this isn't the article that I was pulling up today. Binance users withdraw assets in June amid global regulatory pressure. So we've seen a huge amount of outflows from Binance for major assets like Bitcoin and Ethereum. You can see here the balance on exchanges for Binance and Bitcoin massively decreased. This black line here is the price of Bitcoin, and you can see this is the amount of Bitcoin held by Binance, represented by this orange line here. You can see a massive decline in that, and you can see the same for Ethereum. So this is the price of Ethereum, this black line, and this blue line here is the amount of Ethereum held on Binance. Now, I know that we've seen, obviously, the regulatory pressure in the US that has caused a few problems. And I think a massive contributor to this is a lot of people that are in the industry now saw what happened with FTX in November. And that has caused things like this, that the regulatory pressure in the US, that's magnified by what happened with FTX. Because we've all had exposure to what can actually happen in the worst case scenario for a centralized exchange. We're all being on the safe side right now and preparing ourselves for the worst case scenario just in case. So I think we have all learnt lessons from FTX and the problems that arose back in November 22. And that's a really important thing. And it's a good thing to see this. People are moving away from centralized exchanges that they don't feel too secure on, and fingers crossed moving over to safer storage methods like hardware wallets. If you are interested in hardware wallets and moving over your funds to a safer storage platform, then why not check out our article here, which is the 5 of the best hardware wallets available right now. I will drop this in the chat for today's live stream, so if you're following over on Twitter, come over to YouTube, give us a like, give us a follow, and check out that link there as well. Let's see what else is going on here. So Bitcoin and S&P 500 decouple from net liquidity, unraveling the decoupling of Bitcoin and the S&P 500 from net liquidity and its potential impact on market dynamics. Now, we've all seen a massive link between the prices of Bitcoin and the prices in the S&P, but it's seeming that that correlation is starting to disperse there. Continuing with today's news on Twitter, we have them stepping up its payment game because they are now licensed money transmitter in 3 states. Now, we have seen Elon Musk say he wants to make Twitter the everything app. We have now seen them try and get licenses to transmit money on the platform, and we've also mentioned him talking about integrating cryptocurrencies into the platform. Now, despite what's going on with Threads and Meta trying to make a competitor app, if Twitter can continue to build in this way and become the everything app, it would be hard to compete. Now, Meta have all of these applications, all separate applications that build one company under the umbrella of Meta, but we have Twitter here trying to bring everything to one application. So it could be very interesting to see how this works and seeing how this could continue there. Let's keep a close eye on that. We have one more article today, and then we'll be analysing the price of Bitcoin there. The final article is about the CBDCs in the Bank of England in the UK, the digital pound. So we can see here that the Bank of England tapped self-sovereign ID platform Nuggets to develop privacy layer for the digital pound. Now, this is a really interesting article here. So Nuggets plans to integrate zero-knowledge proofs within its privacy layer for the CBDC as potentially, and this could mean that users can verify their identity, complying with KYC and AML, but without giving over the actual information. So identities would be owned and controlled by the user without allowing for tracking or correlation. So that's a massive step forward there, and that may entice a lot more people to be on board with the CBDC idea within the UK. So we'll keep a close eye on that. But let's now take a look at the price of Bitcoin and see what is going on here. So let's pull this up. Have I been showing this correctly? There we go. I thought that the screen hadn't been showing the whole time then. Let's see what's going on the 4-hour chart here. I have been showing this over on Twitter. What we have here is we have an ascending wedge. Now, we have not yet seen a 4-hour candle close above that level of resistance. So we have not yet seen a breakout from this. But what I'm looking at is a resistance at $31,250 and down at $30,250. Keeping a close eye on this as the price fluctuates. If we take a look at the daily chart here, we can see that we have this level of support that is increasing over time. It's currently sat at around 26,500. Major level of support there, and one that I hope we continue to hold. With the news of BlackRock continuing to be positive, there's no reason why we should sink to lower prices right now. You can see here that on the daily chart, we have had a bounce of this previous level of resistance here from back in April 2023. The daily candle close, highest daily candle close, was at that $30,500 level, and that's where we opened this morning. Now, we have seen a nice bounce off that, so potentially we could be using that range there, which we've been looking at, which is at around the $31,000 to $30,500 level as a level of support. If we do that, that's insanely bullish for Bitcoin there. Let's move on to Ethereum though and see what else is going on here. So you can see we had a nice bounce of that previous level of resistance after we broke through that level of resistance. And now we are seeing some sort of sideways action. And this is expected when we see Bitcoin having some sideways action there. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. But what we are looking for now is some levels of resistance. So I'm looking at between the $1,993 level to the $2,020 level, and I'm taking a look at that $21,020 level to the $21,040 level. Dollar level. Tongue twister. What we can see here is also if we do have a bit more of a move to the downside, we do potentially have some levels of support here. So this has been used as a resistance massively over the last couple of weeks. We are currently bouncing this as well at 1,910. Keeping a close eye on this. If Bitcoin starts to move to the downside, I would expect Ethereum to do something similar, as I just said. If we did come through that level of previous resistance and don't use it as a support, then I'll be looking at 1,837. But overall, it's looking pretty nice. If we compare Ethereum to Bitcoin here and see what else is going on, looks like Bitcoin is starting to outperform Ethereum once again. So we may have a little bit of a pause on that potential altcoin season incoming. We can see typically Bitcoin has been outperforming Ethereum for the entirety of June. That's why this chart has been moving down. We did see Ethereum spike last week once we'd seen Bitcoin see some consolidation, but now Bitcoin's starting to gear up again and is looking a bit more enthusiastic. So we've seen Ethereum sort of take a back seat for a second. Typically what happens is Bitcoin moves to the upside, then it starts to consolidate, and through that consolidation phase we see Ethereum make some nice gains, and that's what we've seen right now. But now that we're seeing Bitcoin start to move up as well and see some volatility in Bitcoin, it typically will outperform Ethereum for a little while unless it doesn't see that breakout there. So we're keeping a close eye on that. If you have not already, please do not forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell notification button. Head over to cryptosavingexpert.com and press that big blue sign up button and join over 10,000 other users that have gone over to cryptosavingexpert.com and hit that big blue button and got themselves enrolled on all of those free cryptocurrency courses that we have on the website there. Also, don't forget to go over to our TikTok at Crypto Saving Expert, go over to our Instagram at Crypto Saving Experts, go over to our threads at Crypto Saving Experts, and our Twitter at Crypto Saving Expert as well. But that's all we have for today, so thank you very much for tuning in. As always, I will be back here tomorrow at 11 or 12 a.m. BST time, so make sure to stay tuned for that. But that is all we have for